Welcome to week 32 of the Sub 48 project, where I am training to run a sub 48 second 400. This video will be a little bit different from my other ones. I spent the entire week pretty much off of my feet so that my body could recover and heal, and I could get set up for an outdoor season that is hopefully healthy and successful. So while you watch me do some rehab work and easy training in the background, I'm going to recap my indoor season and go over what I think went well, what I think went wrong, and then some of my goals for the outdoor season. To start, my best times this indoor season were a 52.04 in the open 400, a 50.9 second split in the 4x4, and a pretty embarrassing 23.85 in the 200. Last year during the indoor season, I ran a 53.32 and split about a 52 second in the 4x4 if I remember correctly. So I PR'd in the open 400 by 1.28 seconds and split a little over a second faster in the 4x4. You guys have heard me say this, so I won't beat a dead horse, but I truly thought I would perform better than this over my indoor season. I'm super happy to be running faster than last year, but based on how my training has been going, I was expecting different results. Now, results aren't the only thing that matter, but when you work so hard for such a long time, as most of you probably know, it sucks if you don't reach your goals. Especially since I started my training running only 20 miles per hour, and within just a few months I broke the 22 mile per hour barrier, and I think I might even be faster than that now. We just haven't done any max speed testing for a while. So why did I get so much faster, but my times only improved by a little bit? One aspect may be that we didn't do enough lactate training. We bought in hard to the speed first approach for the first half of the year, and I'm very glad we did because it paid off for me big time. However, we probably would have been better suited to using a concurrent method of training, or in other words, using vertical integration, which is where every aspect of training is included in the program at all times. So instead of doing only speed and acceleration work early on, we probably should have had at least one day of lactate training per week for almost all of our training so far. This is definitely debatable, and again, I'm thankful we tried the short to long approach, but I've heard a high-level 400 coach say that it takes about 10 months to build the finishing 400 meter strength into an athlete, and we only had about 4 months, if I remember right, of lactate training under our belts when we ended the indoor season. I will definitely factor that in when I build my training for next year, but obviously there's no going back now. I am just hopeful that I can get into good enough shape in the 3-ish months I have left until the end of our outdoor season. Another reason my times may not have landed where I wanted them to are the dreaded curves I keep complaining about. Running faster on tight curves is truly a skill, and without an indoor facility, we were not able to develop that skill. A third potential reason is that we continued doing our very hard lactate workouts all the way through our competitive season. This was intentional because we did not really want to peak for indoor track. Our focus is on outdoor. With that being said, it certainly would have had a detrimental impact on our performance and left us somewhat flat and tired for our races compared to going through a true peak. I definitely made some mistakes this indoor season. I haven't been listening to my body well enough, and as you all know, have been fighting pain and injuries pretty much daily, if not weekly, for the last, I don't even know how long. If I'd been smarter and had immediately pulled back training when I noticed stuff was going wrong, I might have avoided a lot of the things I've had to deal with this season. It is just so tough to hold yourself back when it is coming toward the end of your season and you want to perform at your best, but obviously nobody is going to perform well if they are injured, and I should have handled my injuries differently. I think there's also a chance that we haven't been taking big enough deloads through our training. We pulled back our strength training quite a bit, but perhaps our work on the track is still too much loading over the deload weeks, at least for my body. I believe that might have built up systemic fatigue and started creating all the issues I'm dealing with now. There are also some programs who deload after only 2 weeks of training instead of after 3 weeks like we've been doing. That might be a better approach, especially for someone who is injury prone like I am. You also have to consider things like general health, diet, and sleep in these situations. My diet is very well regulated, and I've started working on my sleep recently and been making good progress there. My general health is a little bit questionable because I have an autoimmune disorder that has a very significant impact on my sleep, energy, focus, and mood, and could play a big negative role in my ability to recover. That's a story for a different video, but it's important for me to keep in mind when learning how to keep myself regulated, recovered, and healthy through my training. Finally, I want to talk about my goals for outdoor. I might have mentioned these earlier in the year, so I'll run through them quickly. I want to break 11 in the 100, 22 in the 200, and of course 48 in the 400. To achieve this, I will need to increase my max speed a little bit more, increase my speed endurance a bit more as well, which should be a lot easier now that we can actually train outside again most of the time. And of course, I got to increase my finishing strength in the 400, or in other words, build the capacity to run a sub 25 second 200 even when I am heavily fatigued. A realist would say that the likelihood of me hitting those goals after my indoor season is low, and I don't disagree, but that sure isn't going to stop me from trying. The way training was going before indoor started, I was well on my way to reaching each of those goals, and I'm hoping with this week of rest and rehab, I can get back on that trajectory. From here on out, I will be smarter, I will push myself even harder when it's safe to, and I will hopefully see all of you in the next one.